Hello and welcome into a weekend episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. Jerry is in the freaking woods. Jerry, are you on the lam? Like, is somebody you're in Toronto and you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, so are Maple Leafs fans coming after you? It looks like you're fleeing the scene of some kind of a crime, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I've been going for a walk for the last hour now, man. It's what gets my head clear after being on Twitter for 2 hours, and I have to see a lot of nonsense.
Well, at least you got a Cheeto hat trick, so things are not all bad.
Yeah, he knew it was my birthday. He gave me a shout out. No, I'm joking. I wish.
Happy belated birthday, by the way. Oh. It was Friday or Saturday, right? Was your birthday?
It was Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. Then it was my anniversary on Thursday, which I sometimes, no offense, it's not nice to say, but it kind of like takes my birthday away. I know it's not the right thing to say, but I kind of did it for my buddy because his birthday is on April 7th. So,
Jerry, my father was born the day after Christmas. So when you want to talk about the birthday not having any spotlight, I mean, it's like basically like my dad, his whole life would get Christmas gifts, and then his birthday's the 26th. Like nobody cared. Nobody cared that was his birthday. Oh man! But we are joined on this episode. We're going to talk about what's becoming a tighter and tighter scudetto race by the minute. So we are recording this shortly after Napoli dropped a 3-2 decision to Fiorentina. A day after, and we're primarily going to talk about Inter on this episode because we have an Interista with us. Inter got a very important 2-0 victory against Hellas Verona at the Giuseppe Meazza on Saturday. We are recording this before Milan takes the pitch at Torino, so at this time we do not know what the result of that game is. If they do drop points, it's an incredibly tight scudetto race. Even if they take all 3 points, it's still an incredibly tight scudetto race. So let's bring in our good friend, one of our favorite hockey fans, who's also a wonderful Interista. Nick Costa is with us. Nick, how you been, sir?
I'm very good. Like I was saying before we started recording, I've been married since you last had me.
Yeah.
Happy 6 months ago on the 8th.
When you're still married 6 months in, that's a good sign.
Yeah, we're still in the honeymoon phase. But no, I'm well. It's been a long time since I talked to you guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, you got married. You got fucked up, man. Like I say, you're fucked. Oh, fuck.
And she's a good girl.
Yeah, I was already warning Nick not to have any kids because my son's 4 years old now. Love him, but he drives me up the wall.
No, hold on. I know we got to talk about Inter, but yeah. My personal opinion is if you're going to get married, the reason why you're getting married is to have kids as well and start a family. Right. Like if you're getting married and not having kids, man, you got to rethink yourself because all that fucking money you spent to get married could have invested way better.
That's true.
I got to produce more Inter fans for the world, you know?
There, see? Yes.
And Flyers fans, as you can see over my shoulder here. So they'll just know what pain is being an Inter and a Flyers fan. Yeah.
No, pain is an Oilers fan not making the playoffs for 13 years after making the Stanley Cup Finals and being 1 goal away from winning.
It's true, but now you have the two best players in the world,
and you can't do nothing right with it. That's the worst part. But talking about doing things right, and I know Alex is going to segue into this, is Inter in the last 2 seasons, and they're up there for first place.
Well, and Jerry was actually, even though I'm the Interista, Jerry was actually the only person out of the two of us who did pick Inter to win a Scudetto before the season started. I picked Juventus to win the Scudetto, so I mushed them, apparently. They are mathematically eliminated from winning a Scudetto, so I was happy to provide that mush. But are
they really?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, wow. Close damn near close. Anyway. I mean,
it may not be completely mathematical, but they basically would need to win out. Well, Inter, Milan, and Napoli all lose the rest of their games. Like it's pretty close to mathematical. So let's talk about the Saturday 2-0 win against Hellas Verona, and I'll start with you, Nick, on this after I give my take. I felt pretty confident, and I was hoping that even though Inter didn't play particularly well against Juventus last week, that's the type of victory I think can be an emotional lift, especially, you know, for a guy like Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who scored the goal on the PK last week. He tends to be that sort of a momentum player. He gets a goal, and that kind of carries him with adrenaline for the next couple of games. He's inconsistent, but when he does something like score a goal or provide a big assist, he tends to kind of enter a good phase of form after that. And for the first 45 minutes against Verona, the entire team looked to be in an unbelievable bit of form, really controlled the match in a way they haven't done probably since January, because they had the terrible run February and March. So this was the best form they've had in a couple of months. And, you know, Nick, a guy that I'll start with here, who to my eyes was man of the match without a doubt, provided 2 assists on the day, Ivan Perisic. Like, it's incredible, this guy. And we've already basically replaced him with Robin Gosens, and Robin Gosens like can't get on the pitch because Perisic has been playing so well. Like, he gets on in the second half, and then Perisic moves to second striker, and that's clearly not his natural spot. He looked a lot better as a left wing back than a second striker, but Perisic, he's just so dangerous on that left flank. And it's like a couple months ago, I would have said, don't even worry about giving this guy a contract extension. Now, I'm hoping he stays for another year or two.
Yeah, ultimate team guy. Like, even his quotes after the game, I'm pretty sure, didn't he say, like, I'll play anywhere, I'll even play left back if I have to? Yep. Like, he's just the ultimate team guy, never says the wrong thing, puts his work boots on every single game. And yeah, even in that Juve game, he came to the rescue a few times defensively in Inter's own box. He's the consummate pro. I mean, he came here in the banter era, and I'm happy he's still around. He's consummate team guy. Like him, D'Ambrosio. Like, D'Ambrosio's not as good, but like they just say all the right things. You could tell like they're respected on the pitch. Again, like you, I hope he stays, because whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench, he's a phenomenal player to have on your squad.
Now, we had lost Jerry for a second. I thought maybe a bear got you. What kind of bears do you have up there in the Toronto woods? You got grizzlies, black bears. I was a little worried about you for a second.
In fact, the stupid, you know, those telemarketers, 437 calls in freaking Florida and Michigan.
Yeah.
Freaking cut me right off, man. This is why you don't do a freaking, never use your phone, man.
but no, and I want to, and you know, heading into the match, yeah, I did feel pretty confident Inter being back at home, and Verona not a very good away team, but in overall form since the new year, Hellas Verona have actually produced more points than Inter since the start of the calendar year 2022. So they were actually technically in better form coming in than the Nerazzurri were, and so yeah, outside of Perisic playing completely lights out. I was actually impressed, and I know that this worried some people, seeing Federico Di Marco starting at left center back over Bastoni. And, you know, Di Marco at times has been a little bit of a liability. He was very lively in this match, and I think that choice ended up making sense from Inzaghi's standpoint, Jerry, because Inter really wanted to have an attacking focus in that match, and you especially saw it in the first 45 minutes where they were basically blitzing Verona's box. Their form dipped in the second half. And I thought Verona, they could have had a couple of goals. They had some good scoring chances, Simeone and company, but they never got their goal. But in the first half, it was really one-way traffic for Inter. And I thought Federico Di Marco looked very, very good. We didn't have to see his liabilities defensively too much because he was primarily moving forward and attacking very well.
No, for sure. And I think the biggest thing is that, and this happens in hockey a lot, and when you're up by like 2-3 goals, what happens is that you kind of become more relaxed and you sit back and hold the lead. I don't know the perfect word for it because Rafazola, our good friend, has mentioned it to me, but it's something that happens in gambling a lot, where a lot of the time when you have a lead, you kind of like become more not as focused for attacking. So
right.
I thought that overall, this was one of Inter's probably best games in quite some time under Inzaghi in the new calendar year. Not scared to kind of attack the final third. And I think a big reason to that is Joaquin Correa. Correa had his biggest game in a long time. I banter this guy a lot, but in defense to him, injuries have not helped him. It's really hurt his form. I think that's important that even though he didn't score, he was able to kind of contribute and be effective in other ways, opening up space, using his speed effectively, his dribbling, and I think that kind of opened up the way for Dzeko as well, and other players such as Perisic to be more effective out wide. In addition, like I thought Verona just was really poor in the first half.
They were sloppy.
Yeah, they were very sloppy and didn't execute well. And you know what? I'll give a shout out to Samir Handanovic because he made 2 or 3 big saves on Giovanni Simeone. And even though that there were only 2 chances, I think that when he had to be big, he was, and he made himself bigger inside the box and kind of made saves that Inter fans are not really accustomed to in recent weeks. And he kind of makes those mistakes of mistiming his run and if he should commit or not, causing a foul maybe in that situation. If he doesn't time it properly, he could have taken out Simeone. So I thought that he had a good game as well.
Yeah, I thought he did as well. And I think it's the thing with Handanovic, you know, we've seen over the last 2 into 3 seasons that his consistency has just dipped in a big way. And I think sometimes the mistakes that he makes, like in the Juventus match last week, that punch that he made that somehow went up and behind him and nearly into the goal, that was so embarrassing that it's like every Interista is like, this is Handanovic, the guy's completely finished, look at that. So you magnify the mistakes, but he's still a very capable shot stopper, Handanovic. Like, he's still very capable. I think it's just the older he gets, the more his consistency drops. And it's like I've been watching, of course, as most Interisti have Nick, Andre Onana, who's going to be coming in to be presumably the number 1 keeper next season, even if Handanovic does stay. The Bears got Jerry again. I hope he did tell me.
He'll be right back in the private chat.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he did tell me that at some point when he gets back to his house, he's gonna disconnect and reconnect. No, but with Onana, he's been having kind of a tough time since he returned from his long layoff at Ajax. But and he had a news conference about it yesterday. He was talking to the media post match and basically explained, like, I was away for a long time. He had a very long suspension, performance enhancing drug related. So he had been suspended for about a year, and you know, he wasn't in the same type of shape, and he's still sort of recovering physically. So hopefully that's not an issue, because he's not been great the last couple of months since he's been back with Ajax, and it's making a lot of people wonder. And it's a free transfer. I'm sure he's making good wages, but it's like, wait, so we kind of thought this guy was going to be like the perfect heir for Samir Handanovic. Now maybe this guy's not the gem we thought he was. So hopefully he can really find his form. And even if Handanovic is back next year, Nick, we might see more of a rotation, because we haven't had that at Inter for a long time, right? Whether it's been Radu or Padelli as the backup the last few seasons, it's been Handanovic in net 95% of the time, unless it's like an early round Coppa Italia match, or maybe like a round of 32 Europa League match where they don't feel like they need him. Like, there's been no rotation. It's been the Handanovic show for several years now, and maybe they can at least get someone who can split some time with him.
Yeah, no one's really. I mean, hockey and soccer or football are a little different. Where, you know, in hockey you could take the net from a goalkeeper, where, you know, no one's really taken the net away from Handanovic. Padelli was a disaster. Radu, you know, he really hasn't got many looks, and he hasn't wowed when he has. Onana had some choice words for Ajax fans yesterday too, unless that was satire that someone put on the timeline. I don't know, but I have him. Yeah, Handanovic has still made some great saves, like you said. That great save on Simeone yesterday that kept the game out of reach. That would have changed the entire complexion of that game. He was a little shaky in the Juve game. Especially like you said, when he punched it backwards and it almost went in his own net. Oh my God. That was horrible. And Juve fans should be more upset that Chiellini missed that open net than anything else, instead of blaming. That's right. Juve fans eat crayons. But yeah, hopefully Onana, like, he regains his form and can have a good summer of training. And if Handanovic is still here next year, that's not a bad problem to have, having 2 capable goalkeepers on your bench.
So let's talk about the players who got on the score sheet yesterday. And I think it's I'm one of those people who I think scoring goals can do a lot for players' confidence. And I think
Mhm.
both of these guys, especially Dzeko, needed it. Dzeko gets on the score sheet, and it was a sitter that was very well set up by Perisic. But I think that's the type of thing with Dzeko, who, they talked about it on the broadcast yesterday, that I think like the first 2.5 months of the season, he scored 11 goals. And then in the last like 4 or 5 months has only had 5 goals prior to that. So I think scoring can be important for him. And Nicolo Barella, who had a beautiful finish with that outside the foot shot off another Perisic assist. I thought that was important. Now, obviously, Barella being a box-to-box midfielder, it's not as important that he scores every match. But I think that's another important added threat, Nick, especially when you're talking about an Inter team where, the two strikers, really 3-4 strikers, whoever are paired up with one another, have struggled to score in recent months. You need the midfielders to step up and score more goals. So if Barella can do that on a more consistent basis, and he tends to score a lot against Verona, so maybe Inter need to play them more often. But yeah, I thought it was important to see both of those guys get on the score sheet.
Yeah, confidence is huge in any sport you play at any level. And yeah, I think Dzeko more than Barella needed it because he's been ice cold. And look at Lautaro. I mean, he's put him on a milk carton this year. You know what I mean? Like he scored against Liverpool, and then he had a hat trick against Salernitana. I think the hat trick came first, but he still like can't seem to build on it. So yeah, you hope that Barella and Dzeko can build. Dzeko is still a little careless with the ball at midfield. I feel like he turns the ball over way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, they're only facing Verona yesterday. But yeah, nonetheless, it's good for both of those guys to have that feeling of putting the ball in the net and hopefully build on it. Because like you said, it's been a pretty dismal couple of months. And whether you win beautifully or ugly at Juve, it's still a win. And, winning cures all. And hopefully it was a good springboard. And hopefully, getting these goal scores, it gets them going.
So, Jerry, any final thoughts on Inter 2-0 over Verona? And then I want to move into some big picture stuff with the Serie A table. What did you make of the match yesterday?
I feel like Dumfries has kind of tailed off a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like his game is not where it was before. Missed timing. He missed a golden opportunity down that right wing, the right side. I believe it was in the second half.
I think it was in the
recall.
Oh yeah, maybe it
down
was
the right side.
Yeah,
he shot into the side of the net.
Yeah,
yes, that was in the second
Second
half.
half.
Because Dzeko put it on a plate for him, like he set him up really nicely, and then he should have crossed it, but he tried to score instead.
See, Dzeko's gonna turn balls over because he's not that kind of guy anymore, where he kind of still has that physicality in him. But I think that if you get him into the box and you get him into those aerial duel challenges and get into those threatening positions, that's where he's really effective. And playing down low as well, where he has shown that he's kind of a physical player still. So, De Vrij, I guess his injury is not as bad as what it was probably a lot of fans thought it was. I have no thoughts on Marici. Fuck that guy. Can't believe he scored yesterday. My God.
He's with Mallorca now, right?
He's got more penalty goals. He's got more goals from the spot than freaking Jorginho does, I think, in the last, 2 months? Missed 2 for Italy, and he converted 2 for freaking Mallorca. Jesus Christ. I was kind of surprised that Bastoni didn't start yesterday. Was he not 100% fit, or is that just a decision?
Wasn't he have it on a yellow and they didn't want to get suspended?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a tactical choice.
That's
and
pretty smart.
he did come on in the second half. And I think Inzaghi just realized first of all, DiMarco used to play for Verona, so he probably thought that he knows these guys and he's going to be motivated to play against his former team. And with the type of game that they played in the first half, where it was all attack, they thought he can do a lot going forward, DiMarco. Because I think DiMarco's a bit of a liability defensively, especially in the air because he's so short. But attacking, he can be pretty bright in that. So it ended up really working out for Inzaghi.
No, I thought that D'Ambrosio was really good. Oh my God. I thought that was vintage, like D'Ambrosio. I think there were 4 or 5 plays in the first half where he committed to challenges, won the ball, and got Inter into good positions to attack on the counter and kind of head start the play. I thought that he had a really good game. And I'll leave it. The last part is that Barella and Hakan were really effective in the midfield. I didn't notice Brozovic, but I think he's still recovering from that injury. But I really noticed Hakan and Barella in that mid, and more Hakan. I thought that this was another good game, quality passing.
It's because he scored last week. I'm telling you, when that guy scores, it's like a hangover for the next couple weeks where he plays well.
I was impressed with his performance, even though he didn't score. I thought that he was effective overall in his game. So I'll leave it like that because I can keep going, but I know you have other things to cover.
Okay, yeah, and one more thing we want to cover.
Lastly, hold on. Inzaghi.
Sure.
He kind of showed different yesterday and got away from his stubbornness and basically outside the box. I would say that he adapted differently and wasn't the same style play. And I think that Inter are better off having suspensions. I swear to God. I think Inter is better off having suspensions because it really forces Inzaghi to adapt and think differently because he has to, not because he wants to. And when this is where I wish Inzaghi was more creative and did this even without suspensions and use a D'Ambrosio sometimes against these lower club teams where these are the guys that should be coming in and doing it. But again,
okay, want to go? No, that's well said.
Roma's losing.
Yeah, they're down 1-0. This is a live table.
Against who?
Salernitana.
Yeah.
Bro, this is banter era for me. Come on, man. Yep. This is like banter.
Yeah, Jerry, I just double checked it on my live score sheet. 1-0 down, 59th minute at home against Salernitana.
It's a late birthday present for Jerry.
Oh my God! You know the Twitter's coming out, man. With a tweet, man.
Oh man! So real quick, guys. Real quick, I want to go on around the table on this one. I'll go with Nick first, and then Jerry. So I mentioned at the top of the episode, the top three really heating up, especially with Inter winning on Saturday, Napoli losing 3-2 to Fiorentina on Sunday. So Inter are now ahead of Napoli on the table. Not only are they even in points, Inter have a game in hand, and they own the tiebreaker over Napoli. So if they were to finish with the same number of points at the end of the year, Inter would be above Napoli on the table because they have a draw and a victory over Napoli this season. Now, Inter do lose the head-to-head against Milan if they were to finish on the same points at the end of the season. We're recording this around an hour and a half before Milan take on Torino on the road, but Milan's still top of the table with their 67 points. Inter a point behind Milan with a game in hand. I think technically speaking, Inter have the most favorable schedule the rest of the way with 7 matches to play now. So, Nick, how do you think the Scudetto race is going to play out?
Oh God, I don't want to sound too biased. That cold streak Inter had killed them. Yeah. I think the next 2 weeks will really let you know where it stands. If Milan wins, if they unfortunately win today and next week, I think it's pretty much theirs to lose. I think,
and I'll be really impressed if they take all 3 points at Torino. That's a statement win because that's not an easy team to win against, especially in their stadium. Inter had their own trouble there a couple weeks back, so I'll be really impressed if Milan get 3 points today.
Yeah, if Milan drop points today, the race is on, buddy. Like it's anybody's. Inter still has that game in hand against Bologna, which won't be a walk in the park, but especially if Milan drops points, I mean, so much pressure on them down the stretch. And looking at that top 4, I hate Juve, and it's a shame Lazio has been so inconsistent this year because I would love to see them catch Juve and knock them out of a Champions League spot. But yeah, if Milan wins the next 2 weeks, I think it's over. I think Inter will run out of time. But, we're all huge Lazio fans in a couple weeks when they play Milan.
Oh, right. Man, we suck again. Milan's going to eat us apart, man.
Where's the game at? Is it at
Stadio Giuseppe? Yeah.
Oh, come on. Let's go.
Let's get it. At least, Jerry, just get a point. Yeah. I'm not even asking you to win. Just get a point, okay? Tell Cheeto. Tell Cheeto to score, okay?
Yeah. Tell him to score against an actual good team and not just Genoa. I'm just teasing you, buddy.
So, Jerry, what do you think about the table? Well, how do you think this is going to play out?
Inter.
Because
Inter wins it.
My man.
I'm not even going to give these stupid 4 scenarios, okay? Like I did last time. I'm going firm on Inter. I think that Inter's got this. I'll say this. What kind of gives me the if about Inter is how do they manage their squad when they have to play midweek for Coppa Italia and then the midweek game of a makeup for Bologna, because they have to play 2 games more or 1 game more than everybody else for that remake. Oh, then again, just them actually. So we don't care about the guys at the bottom. So that have to remake games. But if Inzaghi plays his cards right and kind of becomes creative and rotates and trusts his team, like yesterday, putting a D'Ambrosio in and delivering a good performance, I have Inter going the whole way. This is a team. Their schedule is favorable. Napoli, what massive letdown today. So
huge letdown.
That was a tough match. Like, we knew that was a tough match, but they were home. Exactly. They were home, so they should have done better.
Fiorentina showing that. I saw a comment if they didn't sell Vlahovic, they would be competing right now. I don't agree, because that's a player who just didn't want to be there in the first place. So I think it would just cause some turmoil in the actual dressing room, and a player who's not satisfied. So yeah, he would play hard because he's still there and he's being paid, but do you want a player who just doesn't want to be with your team? So they got what they can before his value went down. I think it's a different situation as compared to Lazio and Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, where he's never made a stink to leave and force Lazio to make a sale. So they had to make 70 million now before they lose him. And I think it's 2 different situations, just an example. But I'm going to go with Inter. I think that Milan has a really difficult schedule. Napoli, like we just said, you can't be dropping points. You have to figure out how to beat the big clubs too. And I think Fiorentina recently has shown to be a bigger club as compared to the last 4 seasons.
They're just inconsistent.
Yeah,
they are, but it also goes back to playing under Italiano and kind of instilling an identity and a philosophy and bringing those new players in from the transfer market and slowly getting something together. So,
Atalanta's been inconsistent. They lost again this weekend.
They've been terrible. Yeah.
I mean, like someone pointed out, like Milan has to face Atalanta. Well, Atalanta's been kind of crappy this year. Like,
that sounds like a free win to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I gotta take my kid to the county fair, so I'm gonna be eating fried Twinkies and then puking my guts out on the tilt-a-whirl. So I want to send a huge shout out, of course, to Jerry and Nick. Where can people find you, sir?
On Twitter at ForzaInter215. And again, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We'll have you on again. Jerry, you writing anything this week you want people to read?
I got a piece on Perisic and how he's been vital to Lazio in the last 4 seasons for Lazio. I think 4 or 5 seasons. But yeah, I wrote that. And actually, it's funny that I wrote this piece and submitted it yesterday, and he scores a big goal today. And actually, incredible individual play. I actually want to cap one thing on Lazio, because I know we didn't talk about Lazio. I'll probably do that midweek. But if anybody watches the second goal of how Immobile scored, that is what Italy does not do for Immobile and why he never scores. That's all I'm going to say. I wanted to say that on Twitter, but I was going to get attacked. I know it. Alberto springs a beautiful pass from midfield in behind the defense. What does Immobile do? He makes a run. He plays the line perfectly. He makes the run. And I know it's Genoa, but the point is that this goal happens all the time, that it never happens with Italy, and it drove me nuts. Not once.
Play to his strengths. Play to his strengths is what you're saying a little bit occasionally. I hear you.
Never see that with Italy. Never. And it blows my mind how Italy just goes to the midfield. They think about passing to him. He'll make the run. They stop. Everyone goes up into the final third. They clog up the box, and he's a lost puppy after. It bothers me so much. But again, he'll be the scapegoat, and it's too bad.
Always. Well, listen, we appreciate everybody watching. Thank you so much for partaking in the live chat. For those watching on YouTube, smash the like button, hit the thumbs up, please, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. For those listening on the audio version, hit 5 stars, my friends. Hit the 5 stars and make sure you subscribe to Calcio Connection. We will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of the Calcio Connection.